record it, and then I'm going to go live on Facebook. That's where people will be going to sort of consume it.
Right. And I'm not a Facebooker, so.
I'll also have it as a link, a Zoom or YouTube link that I'll put up.
Sounds
Hey,
good.
Tanya, I'm going to be doing a live Facebook video. Could you perhaps head upstairs? Sorry. No, just you can keep doing it. You just got to go somewhere else. I'm sorry. Did you get all that drama, Bill?
I have worse every hour at my house. Like I have the EMS meeting, I have to go to the basement for that because no matter what they talk, turn the TV on, bounce a ball, whatever it needs to, whatever the most obnoxious thing is. So yours isn't very bad. I mean.
Okay. We should be approaching live here shortly.
Sounds good. I actually tried to sign up yesterday and I failed.
Well, we are live though, so don't tell people that you failed.
I know. All right.
Well, good. Hello, everybody. I'm Todd Schmidt. I'm Wanakee's village administrator, and with me is one of our village trustees, Bill Ranum. And Bill, for how many years have you been a family physician here in Wanakee?
30 years so far. So been here a while.
You know a thing or two about the health of our community, don't you?
I think so. I hope so by now.
Yeah. Well, the goal here today, just in about 10 minutes or so, I wanted to spend a few moments with you, allowing you to share some information to our community. Your audience is the residents of the village of Wanakee right now. What do you want them to know about what you're seeing and what you are aware of about kind of the lay of the land today with COVID in Wanakee?
So what I'm mostly worried about is that we are actually in the surge that we talked about in March. We have way more disease in the community and way more people infected than we ever had in March. So the event that we were so worried about is actually happening right now. And that's our primary problem, is that actually the hospitals are filling up and the people are getting sick.
Yeah, so as you're dealing with patients on a daily basis, how frequently are you coming into, being made aware of new patients of yours who are COVID infected?
Basically hourly now. So in the March, we had people calling to be worried about it. And now what's happening is every hour, even less, we have people calling to ask, how do they manage with it now? And some of the people aren't too sick right now, but it's sort of like a bit of a lottery to see whether you can get the virus and then suddenly get sick, even though you're at all ages, mostly older, but some younger. But so the problem is that we have so much prevalence right now that we are, we have so much prevalence that we actually have way more sick people than we did in March when we had first had the disease show up.
So we're hearing similar things on, with the news reports, the regular Madison stations. So you're suggesting to us that those news reports on the field, you would agree are completely accurate?
Yeah, they're entirely accurate, and there's more contact with ill people. We feel there's probably somewhere around 1 in 30 to 1 in 40 of the people that are in the community are infected right now, which is a huge number. Because that means it doesn't take that many contacts to get it. It's sort of in the exponential phase. So we totally concur that the village is in the middle of it right now.
So just make sure I understand that data right. Were you talking just specifically about the village of Wanakee community?
Probably Dane County, more Dane County is what we're speaking of, because there's enough people that don't have symptoms that don't get tested that's fairly common. It's more common than the testing will have, because there are people without symptoms that are actually positive in the community.
So I was on a call with Dane County Emergency Management on earlier this week, and that one data point I heard that if you are in a group of 10 people, there is a 1 in 3 chance that someone in that group is infected.
Yeah, that goes back
And
to
if
saying, basically, if you're with 30 people, there's one of them has it. I mean,
that's
that's
sure.
same,
And yeah,
same,
and
same
similarly,
statistic.
and if you're in a group of 25 people, there's a 2 in 3 chance,
Correct.
2/3 chance that somebody has it.
Right.
That's pretty astounding.
Yep. And this is way higher than we've had it through the whole timeline. This is the burst and the surge, and our resources are being, as far as at the medical level, we are worried that we'll exceed the capacity because people actually get ill because of the inflammation that occurs with COVID. There's two phases. The one where they get acutely ill, like having the flu, and then which you can get some people quite sick. And then there's the more delayed reaction, which is it happens about 7 days after you get it, which is the infection. So, which is the inflammation part, which causes all the COVID pneumonias and such. So our concern is that the high rate of infection now will lead to even a higher rate of hospitalizations because the events happen about a week after the initial infections. So the
And that's
worst
where the
inflammatory phase.
ventilator, the adequate number of ventilators and everything else becomes more serious.
Right. And so right now, most of the people, instead of using the ventilators, are using super high flow oxygen, but it becomes like how many beds? That's why you're hearing about people getting transferred to Milwaukee now, because there's just not enough beds. And Milwaukee started that the extra hospital to manage the extra amount of people that are hospitalized.
Okay, so we're definitely in the world of tremendously serious in terms of how it's impacting community today. With that known, what is your advice to the villagers of Wanakee?
So what I'm trying to get people to be is absolutely as safe as they can. I'm a face mask and eyeglass type person. It's really, I believe it's probably a respiratory virus. I'm asking people, everybody we see, to try to limit their amount of groups, obviously, limit their number of contacts, limit the length of their contacts they're in, because even that can matter. And I'm trying to get everybody that I see today, I think there looks like there may be some protection from taking vitamin D and vitamin C as far as the inflammatory phase. Taking vitamin D and vitamin C for a little while won't hurt us anyway. So that's where we're trying to get people to, as far as ways they can manage it. It's mostly trying to avoid it if we can, and as much as possible, and particularly now while we're in the surge.
Okay, so one, I guess, a philosophy or a thought that I and my family have used, which you're probably going to tell me is not smart, is that we sort of we kind of had a small number of groups that we felt comfortable in, with the thought that the people in those groups cared for us the same way we cared for them. And if we felt we were at all compromised, we wouldn't put them in harm's place. For example, our closest friends, our church families, our own families. Here we are getting ready for, in comes Thanksgiving and other holidays. Is it reasonable to think that way? To think that because I'm close knit with certain people and I trust that they will make a judgment that will benefit, that will be healthy for me and vice versa. Is that a reasonable approach, or is that even entering danger zone?
I think right now that's entering danger zone because the number of people that are infected right now. And most of these, the ones that we are getting, is like, it's the little things, like somebody picked up a kid at daycare, or somebody was at a family outing, and so they get secondary contacts that they've always been safe in before because the virus incidence was so low, but now the virus incidence is quite high. So the same contacts carry a much higher risk for getting infected. And obviously not everybody gets sick when they're infected, but a percent, because there's so many people that are infected, there's a risk for more people ending up in the hospital. So the contacts that were relatively safe and are still probably relatively safe compared to the bigger groups are just because there's so many people that are incidentally infected right now, are less safe.
Okay. So maybe just a reminder, it's probably intuitive and we all know this, but just so you can help everybody be f- firm in knowing what to do. If there is somebody who feels like they've been in contact with someone who has is infected with COVID, or somebody develops symptoms that are reportedly known to be related to COVID, what should people do? What are your action steps?
Well, if they have symptoms that I feel are COVID and they're minor, they probably should just get a hold of their doc and see if they need to be tested or not. The testing, what the testing does is sort of helps people trace back, and they may have been exposed, may have exposed somebody else the day before, and you're actually you're infectious the day before you have symptoms for most viruses. So that is the benefit of that. The people that are exposed and don't know, we're expecting 14 days after exposure to be the limit for when you might get the disease. So that's the process of the process of our timelines for when people have been exposed over incidentally. So they don't know if the person's been positive. You want to find out if they were positive, and then it's the 14-day timeline after that.
Okay, so we all know about the, there's some things now. I heard that UW is providing rapid tests to the public, and then there's the Alliance Center. Um, in what cases should the members of the Wanakee community solicit those testing resources be rather than contacting their physician? Or do you always suggest calling your physician
Well,
first?
I don't believe you have to contact your physician for everything. If you don't have symptoms that are of significance, it probably doesn't hurt to know your physician to know. But I'd say a fair number of people haven't been contacting us just because they haven't had a great amount of discomfort. The knowing, we ask people to contact us if they're at all short of breath. They should let us know. If they can't keep up with the nausea and the vomiting, they should let us know. If they can't, if their muscle pain and everything, if their general weakness happens or their mental capacities go down, then somebody should let us know, because those are all part of the COVID process. I believe the routine screening is reasonable for just about any, but I believe the more testing, probably the better in the short run, because that probably means less contacts. If people know they're positive, even if there's plenty of people who have no symptoms or minimal symptoms that are acting as vectors to other people.
Is there a difference between this rapid test we're hearing about and then the nasal swab Alliant Energy Center process?
Well, they're different. I haven't checked which one the UW is using, but there's a swab that's like an antibody test, and then there's another which is just a direct reaction test, and then there is a RAS test, which is more precise, that we use at the hospital to confirm. But the tests are getting pretty reliable. Most of them are over 95% accurate, which is the initial tests were not that great, and the current tests as they come out have improved. So the false positive and false negative rates is generally been below 5. So they're
Okay.
quite a bit better.
All right, that's the meat of what I wanted to get through today, Doc. I bet we'll do this again when maybe more information comes out regarding vaccination opportunities.
Yes.
Perhaps we can plan a time to communicate accurately with the community at that time. But was there anything else that today you'd really like people to be alert to?
I guess it's just being alert to your situations. I guess I'm asking people to sort of, we all got fatigued and tired of the restrictions, and nobody likes them. And I can say honestly, I hate this virus, but I do think that my concern is it became a political event, not a health event. And I would love this to go back to sort of us being careful and as we can be, and for the next couple of weeks while we hope this surge falters as less exposures occur.
Okay, good. Well, I do have one symptom that I want to share with you. So just before our interview, I had Chef Brian's Korean beef from the high school lunch program, and my mouth is on fire.
Yeah,
I don't think that's a COVID symptoms, but that is one of my current symptoms actually.
yeah. You get enough pain. I think it's milk, right? That's what you got to
Milk.
put in.
Okay. All
No,
right. That's the doctor's advice there.
that's or just don't try it again. Avoid exposure. That's probably the best.
But it tastes really good.
Yeah, well, that's for everybody to judge.
All right. Well, with that, I know both, speaking for both of us and the village board and the village staff team as well, we wish the utmost of health upon our community. And
Right.
we ask everybody to step up for the sake of one another
Right.
right now during this time. So, hey, Doc, thanks for spending a few minutes with me and the community tonight.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate you.
All right. Have a good night.
Yeah, you take care. Thanks.